Welcome to History Briefing. The content of the briefing includes: Biden confronts the limits of U.S. leverage in two conflicts. Male-killing virus is discovered in insects. John Saul became foremost scholar of Africa's struggle for freedom. The past and present of basketball sneakers with Russ Bengtson, Good Word Podcast. OpenAI lets mom-and-pop shops customize ChatGPT. Biden confronts the limits of U.S. leverage in two conflicts. New York Times. U.S. President Joe Biden is finding that his influence over the conflicts in Gaza and Ukraine is more constrained than he expected, given the U.S.'s role as the primary arms and intelligence supplier to both Israel and Ukraine. In the conflict between Israel and Gaza, Biden has been urging Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to allow for humanitarian pauses in the bombing of Gaza. However, Netanyahu has so far refused to comply, even after a phone call with Biden. In Ukraine, the U.S. is finding it difficult to get Republicans to vote for aggressive funding for the war, and there are concerns that Russian President Vladimir Putin is digging in, hoping for a Republican president who will pull back U.S. support. Biden's influence in these conflicts is constrained by the fact that the military decisions must be made in Israel and Ukraine. While the U.S. can suggest techniques for collapsing tunnels in Gaza or breaking through Russian defensive lines in Ukraine, it cannot make these decisions itself. Biden is determined not to let the U.S. get directly involved in the conflicts, particularly in Ukraine, where there is a risk of combat with a nuclear-armed Russia. However, there is increasing pressure on Biden to embrace a ceasefire in Israel and Gaza, with some members of his own party calling for it. The situation in Ukraine is also complex, with support for U.S. help eroding quickly amongst Republicans. The U.S. is having difficulty articulating its next move after a failed spring offensive against Russia. The U.S. has provided Ukraine with every weapons system it has requested, but there are doubts as to whether this will make a significant difference. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has complained that much of the American equipment arrived too late to have an impact, and Ukraine has ignored Pentagon advice on concentrating its forces to break through strongholds in the Russian network of trenches and minefields. Male-killing virus is discovered in insects. New York Times. Scientists in Japan have discovered a virus that selectively kills male insects, leading to generations of all-female offspring. The virus was found in caterpillars and has the potential to control populations of pest insects and disease vectors like mosquitoes. The virus was discovered by chance, when a research technician at Minami Kyushu University found caterpillars nibbling on plants in the campus greenhouse. All of the adult moths that hatched from the caterpillars turned out to be female. The researchers bred the females with male moths, but only produced female offspring for 13 generations. John Saul became foremost scholar of Africa's struggle for freedom. The Globe and Mail. John Saul, a Marxist scholar of Africa, has died at the age of 85. Saul was a professor of political science at York University in Toronto and wrote more than 20 books on the struggle for freedom in southern Africa. He was a fervent supporter of every liberation and anti-colonial movement that emerged on the continent, but became disillusioned with the corrupt governments that replaced white rule. In his 2014 book, A Flawed Freedom, Rethinking Southern African Liberation, Saul wrote, simply put, it remains the case that there has been virtually no ongoing challenge to the continuing grip of global capitalism upon any of the ostensibly liberated countries of the region. He believed that the elites of newly independent Africa were merely replacing the white capitalist rulers that they had ousted. Saul was widely regarded as one of the world's foremost Marxist scholars of Africa. The past and present of basketball sneakers with Russ Bengtson, Good Word Podcast. Yahoo! The latest episode of the Good Word with Goodwill podcast features Russ Bengtson, author of A History of Basketball in 15 Sneakers. Bengtson and host Vincent Goodwill discuss the most famous basketball sneakers, changes in sneaker promotion, and the current sneaker market. They also reminisce about the impact of Slam magazine in the 1990s and 2000s, and the decline of big promotional campaigns for sneakers. Bengtson explains why Michael Jordan was the perfect athlete to change the game for basketball shoes and discusses the current market for signature shoes for young players. OpenAI lets mom-and-pop shops customize ChatGPT. New York Times. OpenAI has introduced a service called GPTs, which allows individuals and small businesses to create custom versions of its ChatGPT chatbot and share them online. The service offers a simple way for users to customize the chatbot for specific purposes, such as providing answers to questions for bed and breakfast guests. The company hopes to offer the bots through an app store similar to Apple's in the coming weeks, but will vet each bot before approval to prevent offensive or harmful content. OpenAI unveils customized AI bots, offers cheaper, more powerful models. Reuters. OpenAI has announced several updates at its first developer conference, including the launch of a marketplace for customized AI bots called GPTs. The GPT store will allow developers to share their GPTs and earn money based on the number of users. OpenAI also unveiled a new GPT-4 Turbo model and reduced the cost by over 50% for its 2 million developers. The company aims to encourage more enterprises and developers to build models to rival those developed by other companies and open-source models. OpenAI has also launched its Custom Models program to address data and price concerns of big enterprises, offering a dedicated group of researchers to train custom GPT-4 models for them. The moment we heard where Percy was buried, he became alive for us again. The Globe and Mail. More than 100 years after he died in action during World War I, Canadian Corporal Frederick Percival, Percy, Bousfield has been found by researchers in the Canadian military. His lost grave was discovered in Belgium thanks to painstaking research by the Commonwealth War Graves Commission and the Directorate of History and Heritage. His relatives were informed and a memorial service was held in Toronto, where his family members honored the relative they had never met. Sunday Aftermath, Stroud makes history, Keaton Mitchell breaks out and much more. Yahoo! C.J. Stroud became the first rookie quarterback in NFL history to throw for 470 yards and 5 touchdowns without an interception, as the Houston Texans routed the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 55-21 on Sunday. Stroud, who had struggled in recent weeks, completed 56.9% of his passes and averaged under 7 yards per attempt in his previous 3 games. However, with starting running back Dameon Pierce injured and the Bucs having a poor pass defense, Stroud was able to take control of the game and record the best performance of his rookie season. Stroud's performance against the Bucs has raised questions about his future in the NFL. While he is likely to experience more inconsistency as a rookie, Stroud has already shown that he has the potential to be a franchise quarterback. He has displayed accuracy, making accurate throws while also avoiding interceptions. Stroud's decision-making has been particularly impressive, as he has thrown just 1 interception in his first 8 career starts. Stroud is already being mentioned as a potential future star in the league. Another rookie quarterback who has struggled this season is Bryce Young, who threw 3 interceptions in the Houston Texans' Week 9 win over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Young has had several poor performances this season and has failed to reach 5 yards per pass in 3 of his 8 starts. This has raised concerns about his ability to succeed as a starting quarterback in the NFL. While Stroud has been able to answer most questions about his ability, Young's performances have left many wondering if he is even a good quarterback at all. Bid to uncover secrets of Manx martyr's portrait. BBC. A portrait of William Christian, known as Iliam Doan, is being sent to Harrogate to be studied by art analysts using infrared technology. The painting, which is part of the National Art Collection, is believed to have been painted in the 17th century, but its exact origins are unknown. The study will use infrared techniques to search for hidden signatures and underdrawings in the layers of the portrait. The process will also reveal the painting's original colors and provide insight into its history since it was painted almost 4 centuries ago. Globe Climate, NBC, glaciers could unearth climate history frozen in time. The Globe and Mail. Nature's North Wildlife Gallery in Yellowknife is creating a taxidermy monument featuring Arctic animals to draw attention to the impact of climate change on vulnerable species. The move is intended to encourage conservation and protect the ecosystem, according to novice taxidermist Jesse Olson. The Canadian North is particularly vulnerable to climate change, and taxidermal animals could become vital documentation of critically endangered species. Well, my dear viewers, what a day it has been in the world. I am your resident observer from the 6th dimension, the one and only Dr. Six. Now, let's dive into today's news and see what's been happening. First up, we have US President Joe Biden coming face to face with the limits of American influence in the conflicts in Gaza and Ukraine. It seems that despite being the primary arms and intelligence supplier to both Israel and Ukraine, Biden's ability to sway the decisions of these countries is not as strong as he anticipated. In Gaza, he's been urging for humanitarian pauses in the bombing, but Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has refused to comply. And in Ukraine, Biden is finding it difficult to rally Republicans to provide aggressive funding for the war. Looks like even the President of the United States can't always get what he wants. Moving on, we have some interesting news from Japan. Scientists there have discovered a virus that selectively kills male insects, leading to generations of all-female offspring. Now, you might be thinking, what's the big deal? Well, my friends, this discovery has the potential to control populations of pest insects and disease vectors like mosquitoes. It's like the insect world's version of the Avengers, taking out the bad guys one generation at a time. In a more somber note, we bid farewell to John Saul, a renowned Marxist scholar of Africa. Saul dedicated his life to studying the struggle for freedom in southern Africa, but became disillusioned with the corrupt governments that replaced white rule. He believed that the elites of newly independent Africa were simply replacing the white capitalist rulers they had ousted. It's a sad reminder that sometimes the heroes we look up to can disappoint us. Now, let's switch gears and talk about something a little lighter: basketball sneakers. The latest episode of the Good Word podcast takes us through the past and present of basketball sneakers with author Russ Bengtson. They discuss everything from the most famous sneakers to changes in sneaker promotion. It's a trip down memory lane for all you sneakerheads out there. In the world of artificial intelligence, OpenAI is making waves with its new service called GPTs. This allows individuals and small businesses to create custom versions of its ChatGPT chatbot and share them online. It's like having your own personal AI assistant, ready to answer all your burning questions. Just remember, folks, with great power comes great responsibility, so let's hope they vet these bots before they start spewing offensive or harmful content. And finally, in a heartwarming story, the lost grave of Canadian Corporal Frederick Percival Bousfield has been found more than 100 years after he died in World War I. His relatives were informed, and a memorial service was held to honor the relative they never had the chance to meet. It's a reminder that even after all these years, we can still find ways to remember and pay tribute to those who came before us. And there you have it, folks, a whirlwind of news from around the world. From the limits of American influence to killer viruses and lost graves, it's been quite the day. Now, I turn it over to you, my dear viewers. What are your thoughts on today's news? Do you have any burning questions for me, Dr. Six? Let the discussion begin. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.